Hello, welcome to So Happy with Senna. How are you all doing? Kindly subscribe to the channel. This is where I share my sewing experiences and notions as well as tips. Um, so today I'm going to talk about the experiences I've had using the Cover Stitch Janomi 3000 Pro. Um, it has been quite an experience because I don't know, maybe it's unique to me. I probably not all of you would experience or are experiencing these issues, but I just thought I should share just in case. And if there's anything that I'm doing wrong, kindly please let me know. But I just want to share, in a previous video I shared how I finally was able to overcome some of the tension issues, and I said that I was going to share in more detail what caused, or I think caused, the problems. One of the problems, I think, first and foremost, was the fact that I didn't read the manual thoroughly. I think I was too excited, and when I got started, and so there were certain things that I missed. I also missed certain, like this guide bar, for instance. I missed some of the thread guide channels. So this guide bar here, the thread is supposed to sit behind this bar, but when I threaded it initially, I had missed this bar. So one thing is that once one channel or one thread guide is missed, it can actually affect the tensions and the stitch results that you can get. Um, Another thing I think is that also caused the problem, and of course, being that I've never used a cover stitch before, I was thinking that it's just like a machine. This my brother here, the tensions set automatically. So for some reason, I was thinking that things would just tensions would automatically just reset themselves, or but I didn't realize that with any time I changed the thread, it kind of messed up the tensions. And one thing that I think the machine doesn't really like is using cheap thread. I don't know whether to call this poor quality thread. I'm sorry if I'm saying that it's poor quality, but for some reason, no matter what I did, I could not just get the machine to stitch properly when I was using these threads. Bought these threads some time ago when I had my overlocker, when it was working, and so this is what I was using on my overlocker. So I just automatically started using it on the cover stitch, and for God's sake, I was just getting horrible stitches. So these are some of the stitches that I was getting, the stitch results that I was getting. And it was just completely a nightmare. I just couldn't get it to stitch properly, because in the manual it would give you the what a balanced stitch should look like, and this is what it's supposed to look like, but I was getting something completely different. Ideally you are supposed to get something like a rectangle, and then you'd get diagonal lines, going across. But that's not what I was getting. I was getting semicircles, triangles, all sorts. So that prompted me to decide to, apart from, so what I did was I decided to change the threads. So I now started using these threads, which are more well, they're a bit more expensive and more and branded threads. So I changed the threads, and quite frankly, that kind of solved most of the problems. So another thing I did was I created like a stitch book, You can see how raggedy and thick the book is, because I was so frustrated when I first started. So I decided to record all my findings, anytime I would kept changing the tensions to see which one was best for my project and all that. And so this is what the results I was getting. This is what it should look like. This is what it should look like when the stitch is the tensions are set properly and everything is working correctly. You're not supposed to see any pulling, any sagging. Everything should lie flat. And this is the triple top cover stitch. And then so at the back of that, you're supposed to see just the needle threads and the cover stitch threads. You're also supposed to see the stitch formation forming the rectangles, and then the diagonal lines going across. If you can look here, you can see this is really bad. This, no matter how you iron it or I iron it, it's not going to work, because this is a chain stitch. And it seems as if the thread tensions were completely off. And I was using the variegated threads both in the looper and in the needle threads, and I was getting, I got this. And I think the looper threads, the tension was a bit too tight because it's a bit of a thicker thread. So so that didn't work. So any time that when the thread tension is tight and you kind of loosen the thread tension, then you're supposed to loosen the looper tension. And if you have to loosen or tighten the looper tension, then you loosen the thread tension. It's almost like opposite. They shouldn't be the same. If you have to tighten or loosen, the looper threads should be either higher or lower than the needle threads. So this is a narrow um, a narrow cover stitch, and this is the reverse of it, and you can see that it's lying flat. And when you know that the stitches are okay is when you see just the threads on the reverse side just in tiny loops over the looper threads. You're not supposed to see long lines of needle threads, like in this case. I don't know if this is clear. I don't know if I have another one here. Okay, so if you look at this one, you can see that this is a good stitch formation, because you can see the rectangles and diagonal lines. In this case, you can see the needle threads. This is when I was using these cheap threads, or I don't know if they are cheap, whether that's what the problem was, but the machine certainly doesn't like it. And you can see the difference between this and this. There's a big difference. The tensions were completely off. Instead of getting this formation, I was getting, seeing the needle threads on the reverse, not in small loops, but in lines and stuff. And so so that's when you know that the tensions are completely off. So so creating this book, this cloth book, gave me an opportunity to see what the results I was getting depending on the threads I was using, and the fabric as well, because of course it's not just the threads, the fabric, the needles, and the tensions all have to be right. In fact, sometimes you have to even adjust the foot pressure. I tried all that, in order to be able to get to see what exactly was right. So this is one where I think that the machine was working well. You can see the diagonal lines going across and everything lying flat. So that is actually what I have been doing to ensure that I get the proper tensions. So yeah, so that's, and also, as I said, the quality of thread, the needles, all these things have to be in sync for everything to work well. So, and it's also very important for us to read the manual so that we can get the proper, or we can use the machine correctly. One of the things also that, is also important to do is to remember to always make sure that the the flywheel, or the flywheel is always in the highest position. When you want to either switch from standard to fine, always make sure this is in the needles are on the highest position, or the mark on the wheel is the same as the one on the body of the machine. Also, when you want to chain off, sometimes of course you can chain off. If you are chaining off with a triple cover stitch, please remember to turn the dial, the stitch length dial, to 4. But if you are doing you are doing a top cover stitch, you can chain off without turning the stitch length. So I've set the machine right now to a cover stitch, a triple top cover stitch. So I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to chain off. So this is what I just did. The triple, not this one, and I chained off. So yeah, so this is what it looks like. And then on the reverse, you get this. So but if I were not using the top cover stitch, if I were not using the top cover, if you want to chain off, you have to change the stitch length to 4. So probably I should just cut the thread and change to a triple cover. Okay, so make sure this is in the highest position. So of course there's a lever here. I'm going to show how to thread the machine again another time. So I'm just going to release the top cover stitch. And also, when you are threading the top cover stitch, you also have to follow the guidelines in the manual, because there's a way that you're supposed to first of all test it on fabric first, on a scrap piece of fabric. Turn the handle about 3 or 4 times, and then you cut the extra thread before you actually start. Okay. Okay, so now I'm doing a triple cover stitch, and I've taken off the top cover thread. Sorry if you can see it. I took off the top cover thread. So now I am doing a triple cover stitch. So when I come to the end of that, I turn the stitch length, I turn it to 4. That's the time. One thing I've realized is that according to the manual, that it's only, you cannot chain off. I don't think you can chain off when you are using either a narrow cover stitch or a chain stitch. I think you can only chain off when you are using either the top cover stitch or the triple cover stitch. That's what I think. If I might be wrong, so but that's what I understood, so anyhow, so yeah, so I've changed it to 4, the stitch length to 4, if you can see here, and then I will slowly see. Okay, so anyhow, I got a very short chain this time, but anyhow, so yeah, the last time I got a longer one anyway. But so you can chain off like that when you are using the triple cover stitch, and then just remember to turn it back to 3. So one of the suggestions, some of the suggestions is, yes, as I said, remembering to turn the stitch length to 4 when you are chaining off, just for the triple cover stitch, but not the narrow cover stitch. When you are chaining off with the top cover stitch, you can just do that without changing the stitch length. Also, make sure that you follow all the steps when you are threading for the top cover stitch. And what else do I have to say? Yeah, and also, as I said, I'm going to show how to actually thread the machine the next time. When you are using thicker threads, the top cover stitch is almost like how the upper looper works in an overlocker. So it means that you can use thicker threads. When you are using the top cover stitch and you are using thicker threads, you can use what they call tension clips. That would allow the thread to flow through the tension discs more smoothly, and to avoid you getting tension problems. So basically, that is what I have to share for now, because I just wanted to share the kind of experiences I had. I really struggled with the tensions, and for a long time I couldn't figure out why. It's when I changed the threads to the branded threads, which are the bro thread. These ones are called the bro threads. I suppose there are other ones, but definitely I think one has to be mindful of the threads one is using when you are using the cover stitch, because this one, for instance, it kind of like messes up the tensions when I use either cheaper threads or whatever. I don't really know. Maybe someone who is more experienced will exactly know what to do, but I really struggled. So I've just stuck to the bro threads for now, until maybe I become more experienced or whatever. So if maybe there's something that I've missed or something that I'm not getting right, I would be grateful if you watch this video and you will maybe put me to right, or correct any mistakes that I have made. So far, that is really what I have to say. Yeah, so basically, read the manual, make sure that the machine is threaded properly, use the right threads, even sometimes the right stabilization or the right stabilizers. Maybe the fabric is a bit too light, so you might want to give it a bit of backing to be able to give the fabric good support, and then you get the right tensions. So yeah, so, and also maybe you should, if you'd find it helpful to also create like a logbook, so you can document what your findings are, and that might prevent you from making future mistakes, which would also, prevent you from wasting time and all that. So basically, yeah, so eventually I was able to figure out the tensions, and I was able to complete the garments that I was making. More or less, like as I said, I'm using this not for stretch fabrics at the moment. I'm just using it for the woven fabrics. So when I get my overlocker either fixed or I get a new one, then I will be doing more stretchy fabrics. But now that is just what I'm just using it as a kind of like embellishment on my outfits or projects. So I hope you found this video helpful. I will definitely the next time probably show how I've got used to threading the machine. Sometimes I have to thread it one and then realize that in this case that I didn't even realize that the one of I had missed. So you see, sometimes that can also be a problem. There's this tension clip here that the looper thread should have gone through, and that was not threaded anyhow. So yeah, so I've kind of got used to it. Sometimes I have to thread the machine more than once to be able to get it to stitch, but yeah, I'm getting used to it. And yeah, it's amazing, because I was thinking when I first started, I'm like, what is wrong with this thing? And as you can see, my surroundings are a bit different today because I'm not at home. So yeah, but I usually come with my machines. You can see my brother in the background here, and then this one, the cover stitch here. So when I started having those problems, I was thinking, is it because I, brought the machine here? Did I, was it because something happened during the when I was transporting it here or something? I was like, wow, why is this machine not stitching? But it was like, yeah, it was after I changed the thread. That's when I realized that that was part of the problem. The other problem was that I also was not threading it properly. So yeah, so anyway, so kindly leave comments and suggestions or your experiences if you've got one of these machines. And another thing I haven't been able to figure out is, being able to get my project out of the machine when if I'm not chaining off, sometimes it gets stuck, and I still haven't been able to figure out why it does that. I don't get that smooth, coming out at the back and cutting the thread. I still haven't got that right yet. So it's still a learning curve, but yeah, slowly and surely we'll get there. I will get there. So once again, this is Senna. I'm so happy with Senna. And have a lovely day. Happy sewing. Bye.